Welcome, everyone, to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. On this very special episode, we're joined by Gus from Most Controversial, a podcast we enjoy very much.
Hello.
Been trying to get him on for ages.
And we're talking about a recent film that I was completely unaware of until Gus suggested we watched it. The 2025 Jordan Peele produced sports horror comedy, dark comedy Him.
I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy, or if it is,
I thought it was. I thought it was supposed to be like a dark comedy.
I think I didn't laugh at very much of it. I didn't think there was anything that was supposed to resonate as a joke. Maybe there was like parts of that, because we're gonna get into this later. Maybe there were parts of that were cut in editing,
or maybe not like comedy, not like ha cramming jokes in there, but the whole tone of it felt very satirical and kind of tongue-in-cheek.
It's very ridiculous. It's deliberately over the top. I wouldn't say it was trying to make you laugh.
There are definitely moments that were supposed to be funny. I mean, Tim Heidecker's in it, like that.
Okay, fair. There are jokes in it. I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy. Or maybe it was. Again, we're going to get into this.
I have actually another quibble over the genre. Was this supposed to be a Jesus movie at some point?
Yeah, I mean,
so.
clearly, I mean,
sort of
to a degree. I mean, there's like obvious, like there's that whole shot that is staged like the Last Supper.
Yeah. My best guess is that faith is a really big thing in pro football. And as this movie is supposed to be kind of a darkened version of pro football, they are using the Jesus stuff in it to, again, sort of, it's an attempt. I don't know. The movie's bad. We're going to get to that. The movie's not very good.
I kind of liked it. It's not a clean hit. Like, it's very messy, but I kind of came away ultimately enjoying it.
I will say that I liked the last 10-15 minutes quite a bit. And that probably left me with a much more positive interpretation than I would have, or a positive feeling towards it than I would have otherwise. I guess, we can get into this later. Should we do like a plot recap? Is that something that you guys usually do?
We do, yeah.
Okay. I'll attempt to very roughly sketch out the movie to give context for the listener, and then we should...
And I will jump in whenever you get something football specific wrong. I talk a lot about football. It's, my thing. It's my thing on Twitter. And so we decided to do a football movie when I came on. But yeah, Stu, if you want to go over the plot.
Most of what I know about football comes from NFL Sports Talk Football on the Sega Genesis.
I thought you picked this movie because you have CTE.
No. No, it's completely unrelated to that.
You have Bionicle-related CTE.
I do not have Bionicle-related CTE. I did try to put a lot of Bionicle pieces in my mouth as a kid. If anything, it's some kind of...
Is that where all the parts went when I came over and you lost the limbs?
No. That was I didn't want to ask my friend to bring over too many boxes, which was pretty reasonable.
That's fair.
Well, that was Freud's stages of development. Like, first you try to put the Bionicle pieces in your mouth, then you try to put them in your ass.
I don't think I quite got to the ass.
And then you try to put your dick in the Bionicle.
I don't think I got there either.
And then you become a man.
Have you seen those sexy Bionicle? We're so off topic,
what?
But have you seen the sexy Bionicle mocks that people do?
I'm kind of good. I've got to be honest. That's not a thing. I did get this really, really interesting thing where Twitter kind of tried to cross-sect two of my interests in a way that I did not like, where it recommended me art of like a fat girl Bulbasaur, which came up on my For You page, and I was like, I appreciate that you made the attempt. Those are two things that I'm into separately. I'm not sure I need them in
together.
One spot
together.
Yeah, not entirely my thing.
I've always
but that was pretty funny.
The people that jack off to Pokemon are fascinating because it's like it on a certain level it feels like it's like, oh, it's that thing that I know, but there's something deeper.
There's probably something you could write about, this further like fetishization of like when you were 8 years old and you had no responsibilities and how much that takes over your entire life to the point where it's like enveloped your libido like some kind of Jabba the Hutt style viscous film. just dripping over it. But I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, Stu, if you want to get into the plot of Justin Kipping's Him, and I will interject whenever you mess even anything mildly about football up.
So there's a guy named Cam Cade. He starts as a little boy, as most men do, and his dad. He's watching football, and he's watching the at the time like greatest quarterback ever, Isaiah White, get creamed on the field and badly injured after winning a touchdown, and his dad, who's like this Marine guy, just like
to interrupt, winning a touchdown, dog.
That's right. I know the difference. I know
myself back, but winning a touchdown?
The difference. I know the difference. I was going to say winning the game and then scoring a touchdown, and I got the wires crossed. I know the difference.
All right, let me. I'm gonna recap the plot. Because I'm not gonna fuck that up. And B, I literally saw the movie like an hour and a half ago. So it's very fresh in my memory. Okay.
So I know the plot of the movie.
You said winning a touchdown, dude. I'm not gonna fucking have you going over the football shit and being like, oh yeah, he gets a 45-yard penalty field goal from the basketball. Fuck off. No, it's not happening. I'm doing it.
But okay, I can know the basics how fucking football works. God forbid.
No,
I need to do this.
Let me do this. You said winning a touchdown. You have exemplified that you do not. That is not what's going on here.
I'm gonna do the plot summary. Fuck both of you. Okay, so there's a light skinned guy, and as is common in light skinned households, your father attempts to torture you several times throughout the day, and so he gets I think it's called a compound fracture when the bone sticks out, and they get to watch they watch Marlon Wayans like a best gore moments 1999 on one of those big thick plasma flat screens, and then he's like, well, this seems awesome, I'm gonna do this as my sport of choice. And so after winning the touchdown, he goes to he doesn't get drafted, but he becomes like a kind of a star top prospect. Everyone.
You are already confusing the two different characters in the movie.
And listen,
yes, correct.
Yes.
Can I please recap the plot? You guys are both fucking
sure.
So
okay,
bad.
Go for it.
Okay. So the movie opens with little 8-year-old Cameron Cade watching star quarterback Marlon Wayans, whose character's name is Isaiah White, throw a game-winning touchdown in a championship game for the fictional San Antonio Saviors, which, again, fake football team. The NFL is pretty notoriously, I don't want to say skittish, very tight-lipped and shut down about giving its licenses to anything that might portray the NFL in even a mildly bad light. So, if you think about how you only get to use, like, a real military gear that's lent to you by the military if you're doing, like, a Michael Bay Transformers thing where, like, every troop is a fucking hero. The NFL operates kind of the same way with giving you licenses to real teams. So all of the teams in the league in this movie are made up because head trauma is a running theme, and the NFL does not want to be even like associated with head trauma in any way. So this little boy, 8-year-old Cameron Cade, sees Marlon Wayans, Isaiah White throw a game-winning touchdown in a championship for the fictional San Antonio Saviors. He grows up to be a darling college quarterback, as far as I know, multi-year starter, considered to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, but a mysterious being attacks him, smashes him in the head, and he suffers major head trauma right before the combine, which is when you, after the college season is over, you run out in front of a bunch of NFL scouts, you do a bunch of drills. From what I've heard from people who work in the industry, the actual combine is really much more of a networking thing. You kind of already just trust the tape.
That makes sense.
Trust the film on guys. It's really more of like a place for like general managers to meet in one place and go like, hey, we're technically not allowed to make deals yet, but like I want to move up to this spot in the draft and you want this player, let's do a little trade and discuss things like that before it's technically legal to do so. But
it's a slave market.
I would not go that far. Personally.
It's kind of the subtext of the movie.
Sorta.
A little bit.
I guess.
Yeah.
No,
I'm exaggerating a little, but
yeah, no, I see what you mean. And Cameron Cade, highly touted prospect. He gets hit in the head really hard, and that casts doubt on his ability to play football. He ends up skipping the combine, despite being a 4-year starter in college, and that tanks his draft stock. Again, I don't want to do like the nitpick thing where I'm like, oh, this wouldn't happen in the real NFL. That's not how it works. Skipping the combine does not fuck up your draft stock like that bad at all. Players do it like all the time because they don't want to risk an ACL tear, like running fucking like exhibition jogs for NFL owners or running exhibition routes for NFL owners in big games. There are guys who have gotten seriously injured doing combine drills just because, bad luck. And so players skip it all the time. The weird thing about this is that he goes from like being the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Like, people are talking about him in a way where like, oh, this guy is like the perfect quarterback prospect. Like nobody's ever going to be as good as him. He's gonna break all the records. And then he goes from that to being like out of the draft entirely, which is insane because there are like hundreds and hundreds of players who get drafted to the NFL every year. But the point is, in this movie's version of football, I don't want to fucking nitpick that, it's not like real football. Obviously, it's not like real football.
Let's make it like a 2-minute summary of the plot, and then we loop back through, and then we can dive into the specifics.
Okay. So the basic plot of the movie: after his draft stock tanks because he misses the combine, he gets an exclusive invite from Marlon Wayans' Isaiah White, the same player who he saw supposedly have a career-ending injury after winning a championship. But Isaiah White goes on to win 8 championships in a row. Very clear Tom Brady analog here. Invites him out to his little exclusive kind of training facility in the desert, where Isaiah White does evil football torture to him for about 40 minutes, shoots him up with a bunch of weird drugs. Jim Jeffries is his evil personal trainer. And then at the end of the movie, they reveal that it's not explained very well at all, I've got to be honest. It's kind of unclear whether they were trying to do some kind of Get Out style body brain switching thing. But they were ejecting Cameron Cade with Marlon Wayans' blood so that he could transform into some kind of super quarterback and become the next greatest quarterback of all time.
It's like a Messiah or Arthurian legend thing, I think, where it's like, because he says, he's like, well, the blood I have was actually from the last guy. It was from the last. So it's like there's like artificial bloodline that is passed down.
Yeah, no, it's like a Dread Pirate Roberts from the Princess Bride style thing, where there's always one GOAT quarterback, and the guy who becomes the GOAT quarterback is the guy who had the special magic blood injected in him. And at the end of the movie, he kills Marlon Wayans in a fist fight by slamming a football helmet into his head over and over again. He goes outside to meet the team's owners, who are all kind of in this weird, like, occult, a ritual garb, and they tell him to sign the contract so he can become the next GOAT quarterback, and he refuses, and he picks up a warhammer that is at his feet, and he murders them all, except for Julia Fox, who just kind of trips and slashes her own neck.
That was really dumb.
That was a weird decision. I didn't, like, there's
and Tim Heidecker, who is murdered by the football gods for failing to propitiate them.
Yes, literally Tim Heidecker is dragged into a pentagram by the football gods and has his entire body exploded. And then after all that, the owners of the football team are either murdered by Cameron Cade or murdered by the football gods or themselves because they slipped.
See, I thought that was funny. She's like, I'm fine, I'll do this myself, and then trips on her ridiculously elaborate dress and lands on her knife.
I guess. I don't think it's shot or delivered very well is my issue.
Yeah.
No, fair. Like, this movie is yeah. I think its reach exceeds its grasp, but I just ultimately came down feeling more or less positive about it.
I think my main takeaway is that I went into this movie because there's kind of an interesting story with the marketing of this movie, which is that it has a one-word title with one syllable. It is produced by Jordan Peele. And so they were able to put from the mind of Jordan Peele in all the trailers. This movie's entire marketing campaign rested on the idea that they were trying to trick you into thinking it was a Jordan Peele directed movie when it was not. It's called Him because all of his movies are called like Get Out, Us, or Nope. That was obviously a deliberate choice. They very conspicuously say from the mind of Jordan Peele in all the trailers instead of, directed by Jordan Peele, because Jordan Peele didn't direct a fucking thing, because it's way worse. But it wasn't really the type of bad I was expecting. I was going in expecting stupid Get Out, and it's really more like stupid Whiplash, is how I would put it.
I can see that. I found myself liking the movie for the first hour, really not liking the last 25 minutes, and then cackling during the last 5 minutes. It's a very uneven film.
That was about where I went with it too, I think.
And I think it going into it, I will admit this movie kind of tricked me, because I totally assumed, having seen some of the trailers and having seen some of the reactions, that the trailers spoiled most of the film. And that the film was just going to be about Marlon Wayans as an ancient demon quarterback who's sacrificing people to cure his own CTE or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. It's more and less interesting than that premise.
Yeah, there's a gem of an idea here. I liked Wayans a lot in the first scene he was in. I thought the little anecdote he tells about how, Indian or indigenous, I don't know, he says Indian, I'm going to say indigenous. Indigenous students invented the forward pass and perfected the spiral, but the entire sport ended up being co-opted by white people anyway, and they ended up becoming mascots for other teams.
He's kind of the Joker in this movie. He's a little trying to play this enlightened sociopath.
Yeah.
Which I like. I mean, I genuinely laughed out loud when he starts deep throating the gun in front of Kevin Cade.
I thought that was I rolled my eyes. I was like, guys, you're trying so hard. This is so stale. It's just it didn't shock me was the thing. I didn't find it ridiculous in a fun way, even though it was stupid. I found it boring. Which was honestly my problem with the majority of the movie is I was going in and hoping it was going to be really schlocky and fun, even if it wasn't really good. And I mostly just got bored. Honestly.
That's fair. Stu, you were saying?
I'm going to say, I think maybe the reason I'm warmer on it is because I did not see the trailers. I knew nothing about this going in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what kind of movie it was going to be.
That's fair.
And so I was pleasantly surprised by where it went, because I had no sense of this is going to be Nope or something, right? I thought it was I thought it was going to be a melodrama about football or something.
I think where me and Gus are in agreement is that this movie would be a lot better if it wasn't edited like Battlefield trailer.
Yeah. One of the biggest issues I had with it, honestly, is that it is one of the most obviously cut to bits in the editing room movies I've ever seen in my life. It clocks in at a tight 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And it feels like there is so much missing. So little explained. There are a lot of montages in here, and I don't think any of them are very good. They don't really... There's just a lack of connective tissue. And watching the movie, you kind of get the sense that there was more connective tissue, and it was originally a lot longer, and somebody in the studio saw it and said, wow, this drags on way too fucking long, because the movie does drag. Even at 90 minutes, it feels so much longer than it is. The bit Cole was talking about earlier, where they talked about, liking kind of the first half and liking the last 5 to 10 minutes. That 45 minute stretch between those two periods is fucking brutal. It's so fucking boring. You get the one kind of cool football torture scene where, some random guy is getting footballs smashed into his face out of a jugs machine every time Cameron Cade messes up a pass. and that's kind of like, like the big like Hollywood set piece part of it up until the very end. Other than that, it's a fucking slog. Like, they run out of gas on the whole premise so fucking quickly. And that's unfortunate because this movie doesn't really have anything outside of those, like, style things. I feel like it's mixing its metaphors, like, all the time. It's kind of about race, but also, like, kind of not.
It's weird.
It's sort of about assimilation. It's sort of about the psychology of athletes, but also kind of not. And those two themes really don't mesh with each other in a way that makes sense. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'd agree. It's a very messy movie, and I don't think as like a thesis it really totally comes together. But I'm kind of okay with like I'd be like it would be a better movie if they did. But I'm kind of okay that it doesn't.
I like that you liked it. I actually kind of wish that I enjoyed it more than I did, because I would see like a sequel to this. I would see like I would watch him to the hymning, and Cameron Cade's like
I could see like this feel like this movie does feel like not. Yeah, like it is definitely like trying a little hard. It's not totally confident in itself. Like it does feel like a bit of a sophomore-ish movie,
which makes sense because it's like the third movie by the director,
Justin Tipping.
Yeah.
I would say like what I thought of a lot while watching this was The Evil Within. If that makes sense.
The one that we watched for the podcast or the video game.
No, the movie, the storyteller, the meth head.
I see
movie.
that.
Not different, very different context, but like a certain amount of like alternating between like seeing the vision and then being like, is this what you were trying to do? Is this supposed to be funny? But like again, like it was sort of like where it failed, I was still kind of amused or fascinated. And again, like going back and forth, like between like, is this supposed to be like funny? Is this supposed to be like breathlessly hyperbolic intentionally, or is this naive camp? And it's like I feel like from moment to moment it alternates.
To use another metaphor and kind of piggyback what you were saying, or to use another reference that Gus isn't going to get, I thought that this was going to be Dark Knight, Dark City for football, where I totally assumed that like all of
that would have been a better version of this.
Yeah, that like all of the punishment that Marlon Wayans is putting Cameron Cade through was like had like a ritual point where he was like preparing him to become like the QB sacrifice so that this guy could get another ring or whatever.
I was worried it was like going there because that would have been too close to Nope for me.
Yeah,
but I think it is sort of like that. But again, it's like it's this.
Do you mean Get Out? Because that's much closer to the plot of Get Out.
Sorry, I meant to say Get Out.
And I do think that that would have pushed it a lot closer to Get Out, as if he's preparing this guy to just become like a youth sacrifice for
no,
this.
that's totally fair, and I do like that they went in that direction, to be fair. I like that it's not just we're like doing Hansel and Gretel steroids to you to make you a sacrifice for Marlon Wayans' character. Like, we want to produce the best quarterback, and so we are going to give you a shot to prove that. The issue is there's like a part of this movie that it wants to be about how the psychology of the best athletes in the world kind of drives them crazy. And there is also a little bit about, a lot of the racial elements of how football works in America, about how, we inflict like lasting, serious physical issues on, like black and brown kids to try and prepare them for this. And most of them don't even make it. And there is definitely a way to make those themes like tie into each other and make one coherent movie out of it. But they're just kind of weirdly chopped up. Jim Jeffries plays like a personal trainer for Marlon Wayans' evil quarterback. And he keeps bringing up this analogy of how like football, can I do an Australian accent? Crikey. Football is like modern gladiators, It's just that same primal edge. That's still a thing. That was terrible.
I don't think that was that bad. It was a little closer to a Kiwi accent, but wasn't.
Yeah, it was a little Kiwi. But he keeps talking about how football players are kind of like modern gladiators, right? It's the primal urge to hit and kill. And there's like that thread about how much of football is just wanting to inflict violence on your fellow man. And none of those themes ever end up tying into each other in a way that is meaningful at all. I don't think it actually has a lot to say about how those things happen or work.
Yeah.
I wanted to say earlier, so this movie like gets a lot about football wrong, and I don't really want to spend too much criticizing that.
I'm interested because I think maybe part of the reason I'm warmer on it is one of those things where I play up my sports ball nerd ignorance of sports thing. I don't know a lot about football, but I'm not that ignorant about it. But like I might not know enough. My not having a lot of specific knowledge might mean that like the movie worked better for me because I couldn't see the flaws in its metaphors.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like nitpicky shit I could get into. A lot of the announcing is just really bad mock football announcing. Like the way the announcers talk, the first shot of the movie or the first scene of the movie where you are through the perspective of 8-year-old Cameron Cade watching, I think it's called the USFFL or something like that, the USFFL championship. And the announcers for that fake football game, the way they're talking does not make sense. They don't sound like football announcers. That took me out of it a little bit. The way they discuss Cameron Cade as both like a potential number 1 overall pick in the draft and also a guy who might not even play football, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't mesh with how football works. If there's a lot of uncertainty about you as a prospect, it's not like either you go number 1 overall or you don't get drafted. It means like you're like a mid-round pick, but you're definitely going to get drafted by somebody because somebody is willing to take that risk. It doesn't make any sense.
I wonder if that's meant to be expressive of like, from the perspective of an athlete, it feels like either you've got to be the best or you're a total failure versus like the mechanics of how the league actually works.
I don't think so. I think it's really because it doesn't have. There's a way you can express that in a way that is still. There's a way you can express that feeling in a way that doesn't. Like I'm not expressing a disagreement of perspective. It's just really obviously artificial. It's
that's fair.
It reminds me of The Boys almost.
Okay, cool.
The football game you see on TV, that Cameron Cade watches, and the way the announcers talk, feels like a TV show you'd see for 6 seconds on like a background scene in The Boys, and then fucking Carl Urban walks in and like throws a remote at the TV screen and breaks it. That's what the football in this feels like, and I don't think that works for a movie that is about football. But again, I don't want to focus on that because that's not what my primary issue is. My primary issue with that is that part of this movie wants to be about the psychology of what makes great athletes strive to be great and how that can also drive them crazy. And your main character is supposed to be an analog for Tom Brady. Or not the main character. The Marlon Wayans quarterback is in some ways supposed to be an analog for Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, the most fucking decorated quarterback of all time, notorious, insane work ethic, loved football so much that his wife divorced him because he wouldn't commit to stop playing football. That's supposed to be what that is. And the movie does not understand the psychology of what drives these guys to do that. It feels like a football movie written... I don't want to say a football movie by people who hate football, because I think you can make a good movie out of that. It's a football movie made by people who didn't put in the effort to learn about what makes it appealing to other people.
You know what? Can I build on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Because this is something I think about when it comes... Just like I said...
It'd be so funny if I just said no to that. You can't fucking build on it. I killed it too hard. Don't even fucking try. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, no, that's why I want you to cook on the football stuff, because I find that interesting, because I'm not that knowledgeable about it. I watch like John Boy's videos about things more so than I actually watch sports.
Yep. I'm on a podcast for people. No, I understand. I'm on a podcast for people whose main exposure to sports is John Boy. I get it.
But it's just like those videos made me appreciate what people like about sports more.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
Not that I was like that. Not that I ever really hated. Like the only time I really hated sports was just when I had to have gym class with like guys that would scream in my face if I missed a basket in gym class basketball.
If you missed a basket on the football field.
Stu, I'm trying really hard not to make fun of you, and so I'm not going to do it.
But you get like why that experience would sour you on sports a little bit, because it's like these guys that are like taking gym class way too fucking seriously.
Yeah. That's not my objection. It's the people who are really into sports are familiar with the type of people who get into sports through John Boys. I'll leave it at that.
That's I'm not pretending to like be into sports either. I'm just saying that's like the level of my knowledge.
Yeah, you know how you guys wouldn't like people who got into superheroes through the MCU, even if they're not technically doing anything wrong?
Yeah, a little bit.
Fair.
John Boy's videos have a reputation. I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
very well made.
Okay.
I like him a lot. It's a type of guy.
Fuck, there goes our chances of having John Boys on.
I'm not claiming to be into sports either. I'm just saying like that's like I'm not maintaining a pretension of being.
Yeah.
I'm not maintaining the pretension of being a sports guy.
History of the Falcons, History of the Vikings. Great series. I enjoy them very much. No hate to the man. But the Reddit word comes to mind. You know.
No, that's fair. But anyway, what I want to say is like I do have the things I am more like have higher level of interest and knowledge about, and I get those same frustrations when they're not very well depicted, when I can see the seams.
Like World War II aircraft.
Sure. I don't actually know as much about those things as you guys think. It's just like relative to the average person.
Yeah.
But more so like war in general, like how it's depicted, or politics stuff, technology, what have you. But it's because of that same frustration with like it exposes an incuriosity about the subject matter that frustrates me, rather than like, because like you can like caricature something, and there's like an accurate caricature, you know what I mean, where you distort the thing, but it's it's like a recognizable distortion based on knowledge of the real thing.
Yeah.
Versus a caricature that's like a secondhand caricature where you're making fun of what you think a thing is without any knowledge of what it actually is. And I can see how if this movie is like failing to really understand its subject matter or be very curious about it, that would drive you insane. Like I can understand that totally.
Yeah, it's really just there's no understanding of what actually drives these. The way I would put it is like, imagine if all of the rich people in Succession talked like Edward Norton in Knives Out Glass Onion. That's how I would put. That's what really drove me nuts about this movie. Is I don't believe you've ever talked to these people. I don't believe you understand what makes them tick. I don't think you understand what drives them to be great.
It would be really funny if there was like a Succession about Scrooge McDuck or something.
See, the thing that I was thinking about was like a version of this where Marlon Wayans is just abusing the shit out of a Pikachu. He's chucking Pokeballs out of a jugs machine that like crushes into his face. He's like, I need you 30%. I need you to land that thunder. I need you to land that thunder now. Hit it every time. I don't care if it's raining. He's
got like a knitter on or something, like like a free agent Bidoof.
It's like a Jim Jeffries in a full like Nurse Joy costume walking around. That was the thing I was thinking about the most is abusive Pikachu training.
Would a Pikachu be the light skin? Because would a shiny Pikachu be like the light skins of Pikachus?
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking about a lot, is that the main actor in this movie looks so much like a biracial Sam Worthington. Like I kept thinking I was watching Avatar.
You're right, he kind of does.
Light-skinned people get into their Na'vi bodies like this. I don't know if I can make that joke.
I want you to cook on this. Like, what would you say is like the psychology of like these like a Tom Brady or something, and how is that different from what the movie presents?
I'm genuinely curious. I'm not sure I can properly break that down because I'm not Tom Brady. I've spent so much time watching football, but the stuff that these guys do is, I would say one of the big things that this movie misses in terms of what drives people to be great is so much of it is, this is part of the reason that I negatively compare this movie to Whiplash so much, is it's detail-oriented, right? That's what being a psycho about being really good at something looks like. And that's why Whiplash works for me in terms of this kind of structure of story where like a genius but crazy abusive teacher tries to mentor a prodigy, is that so much of what J.K. Simmons, not just J.K. Simmons, obviously J.K. Simmons is a better actor as an evil guy than Marlon Wayans. Not that Marlon Wayans is bad, J.K. Simmons. But what the script has him do is it's so much fussing over detail. It's like, you were a second late, you were a second early, you were a second late, you were a second early. Are you rushing or are you dragging? Your notes are too high. Stop it. Run it back. Like that sort of thing. That I buy as somebody who is insane and obsessive about being the best in the fucking world at what he does. And Marlon Wayans' focus on sacrifice, because that's a common theme in this movie. It ties into the Jesus stuff that they kind of do, but also kind of don't. All the religious stuff. It's not explicit. Like it's not like, like these guys are doing it because they're Christians type of thing. But there is a lot of weird Jesus stuff in this movie, that just doesn't go anywhere. It's probably the worst of the major themes. I think it's supposed to be critical of religion, and it just doesn't work at all.
I think I could tie it together a little bit if I want to be charitable to the movie, and that's the recurring theme is the sense that like you have an obligation, like the main guy has this sense of obligation to his dad, who was like a psycho sports dad and then died right after he's for a minute wavered in his faith in football, and this sense he has to take care of his family. Like there's all these, there's this sense of obligation to someone else to do this.
It is funny to imagine that like his dad died via like Thanos snapping. Like he said he didn't want to play football anymore, and his dad like just crumbled into dust immediately.
Died of a broken heart.
His entire body just disappeared. But no. Okay, that's fair. I get that in the sense that there is a very strong sense of obligation in this movie. I don't get the idea about anything about how Marlon Wayans acts in this movie. Not in terms of his performance, but the way his character acts, the things he decides to do. He does not act like someone who is the best in the world at what he does. J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, like, I buy that guy is an incredibly, obviously like an abusive psycho, but like knows about jazz, and the character comes off like he has spent his entire life working to be the best at jazz. There's nothing about Marlon Wayans' character in this movie that actually indicates that he's the best quarterback of all time.
That's true.
And it seems like this movie...
that's fair.
Yeah, nothing about him, like he's a weird psycho, sure, but there's nothing about him that indicates like this guy is the best in the world at what he does. There's nothing professional about him in that way. And this movie's explanation for this is like, oh, well, he's got magic blood. He's been injected with magic blood that makes him the best quarterback ever. But as far as I know, the way that blood works is that, like, in the ways that the movie gets into it, is it just kind of makes you, like, violent and aggressive. And that's kind of the only thing it does. And quarterback is not a violent or aggressive position. Like, you're not hitting people as a QB. You're trying not to get hit.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like even the most physical quarterbacks in the NFL, it's cool when they hit someone. You don't want them to do it all the time, and they don't want to do it all the time.
That's like a desperate maneuver usually, right? Like,
yeah, like
there are like a select few guys who could hit people on purpose when they wanted to. Cam Newton was a really, really physical runner who would sometimes just run his shoulder into somebody and truck them. Josh Allen, who's playing in the NFL right now, also does that, where he can just, like, he's such a big, strong person that he can just lower the shoulder and kind of smash into a defensive back. But again, like, that's not as good usually as throwing the fucking football. And so if you're looking at this as this movie is kind of like one of the main themes is that football is something that is egged on by violence, right? It is a violent sport. Jim Jeffries basically looks at the camera and goes, it's kind of like gladiators, They're like modern gladiators. They're trying to kill each other. But the position they've chosen for this, they've chosen because it is the one that gets you the most attention. It's the one that gets, the cameras flashing at you. It's the position that gets you the crowds. But if you're going to make a message about how being the best at football is fundamentally driven by primal violent urges, you've got to pick a position where one of your main goals is not getting hit.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking make, it is, I don't want to give the movie shit for not being, perfectly accurate to football. I watched fucking Chad Powers on Hulu, Glenn Powell in it. That movie put in a lot of work to understand, it's a show that understands football, but I didn't like it because I didn't laugh, Yeah. There's stuff that matters more to me. I don't want to be I had Latin teachers who would sometimes complain about Hollywood blockbusters not following the Greek myths exactly. And it's who fucking gives a shit? I care if the movie is good or if it's bad. But the issue with some of the ways that this movie doesn't get football and is wrong about football ends up directly hurting its own themes. And that's what frustrates me.
No, exactly. Because it's saying a thing it doesn't actually know what it's talking about. Yeah. And at that point, what's the point?
I would pose an interesting kind of follow-up question, which is how would you fix this movie? Because I think that unlike a lot of the movies that we do for the show, where they're just they're fucked from the beginning, it's just some shit the Disney Corporation shat out. This movie feels like it was made by a person who at least thought that this idea was cool and wanted to, or successfully sold people on this idea, got it made. And I don't hate the rough, elevator pitch idea of a football horror about, the mental state of an athlete and kind of comparing that to violence.
Yeah. I think in order to make this movie work, you have to make it explicitly about, you need to properly understand the psychology of what drives people to be great football players, and B, you need to make more of the movie about how the white people who actually own and operate the teams exploit that psychology to ruin the lives of impoverished black kids. I think that's I understand why the super ace quarterback is black in this movie. I don't think it works for the story they're trying to tell. I think, I don't know, it kind of does. I don't know, maybe that's...
Well, on one hand, it posits a succession, right, of people slotting into this role.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the other hand, it again, that's where the movie's mixed metaphors conflict with each other.
I think the thing that you have to fix is that you have to understand the psychology of what drives people to be great football players. Because there is none of that. There is nothing in this movie that understands it. A central theme of the movie is why do you want to be great? And the movie fundamentally does not understand why it wants to be great. As far as I can tell, Marlon Wayans wants to be a great quarterback because he likes the attention and he likes being famous. And that's the reason that the movie posits. But you don't get the sense that he'd actually be a good enough quarterback to get that attention. Nothing about the movie convinces you, based on the way that Wayans' character acts, that he's actually has the mindset of someone who's really good at football. He doesn't act like someone who's good at football. He's just fucking mugging all over the place and doing psycho shit. And I'm not objecting to him doing psycho shit, but it has to build from somewhere. And I don't ever get the sense that, Isaiah White actually has the brain of somebody who would push himself to be the best. Because the whole thing with Isaiah White is he's supposedly the best quarterback of all time, right? 8 championships. Yeah. He is the fucking greatest. And you're still going to get a lot of attention if you're the 14th best quarterback in the NFL and you've never even made a fucking conference championship game. You've never won a playoff game. You're still going to get attention. They'll call you a joker, sure, but you're still going to make millions of dollars and you're still going to have tons of people supporting you. And so this idea that Marlon Wayans is driven to be a great quarterback because he likes attention fundamentally does not make sense to me.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that kind of disconnect, I think, kind of ruins the whole film because, like you said, it does kind of feel light on specifics with regards to kind of how it understands the sport that it's ostensibly about. I felt that a lot of the film, especially early on, was kind of light on detail. Like, I never got a sense of who the saviors were as a team. Like, are they supposed to be like the Patriots, or are they, like the Browns or some shit? Like, are they?
I mean, well, they've won 8 straight championships in a row, so you can assume like they're like an incredibly dominant franchise.
Well, it said they're situated in San Antonio, so
I mean, there's no pro football team in San Antonio.
No, maybe the Texas, I guess. So
yeah.
So the women are fat.
The quarterbacks in San Antonio, their heads are bleeding.
But
bleeding.
I would like it's like it's a weird half idea because I didn't hate the ideas that the movie presented, but I wish that they tried to present them more.
No, you're right. It's a pretty
There's also stuff that's like really easily fixable. Like, if a team has won 8 straight championships in a row, I don't know 8 straight, but 8 in general, they're not going to be in a position to pick the best player because the worst teams get to pick first because that's how football works. That's how every sport works. Basketball's got a little different. There's like a draft lottery and such. But generally speaking, the worse your team is, the more likely it is that you get to pick the best guy. And so, the people who are running the football team like attack Cameron Cade, and they try to hurt his draft stock by literally hurting him by smashing a hammer into his head. I don't know why there's not like an easily fixable route in this story where like he drops out of the draft process entirely. Like there needs to be scenes in this. This is a huge problem in the movies. It feels like so much is fucking cut, but it really feels like there needs to be like a smaller arc here where he falls out of the draft prospect entirely and he's never going to enter the pros. I almost felt that the movie jumped too quickly from his attack. Like, I was, especially because it's not even the first dreamlike sequence in the film. I was like, did that even happen? And then they're like later, like, oh yeah, recovering after his attack, and I'm like, but no time has passed in the film. There was several moments in that where I'm like, did this thing even happen? Like it said it happened? Was it a dream? Was it a hallucination? The beginning really, really misses. I think like there should be some part of this movie that is devoted to him, like entirely having his pro prospects jeopardized. Like he meets with people, NFL teams, or I don't know, USFFL teams say, we're not willing to take the risk on this. We think your head is in too bad shape. We can't draft a player with this type of brain injury, with this type of skull fracture. And, he really wallows around a little bit because that makes his willingness to go meet Marlon Wayans more meaningful because we've seen him, kind of suffer and fucking toil around in the doldrums and realize that his dream is dead. But we find out at the end of the movie that, like, he almost quit football. Like, Cameron Cade, I think, is maybe the biggest problem with this because he does not feel like a character at all. He is somebody that people project onto. Almost entirely, which I get that that's part of the point, right? His dad projects onto him, the white owners of the team project onto him, Marlon Wayans projects onto him, and so it kind of makes sense for him to be this blank slate. There's even more so than my complaint about how I don't understand how the character that Marlon Wayans portrays would be the best quarterback of all time. I have no idea why Cameron Cade plays football, like at all. It seems like the sort of thing he's doing for his dad. It's like a sacrifice. But that whole fucking thread is so underdeveloped and they never spend any time on it. Cameron Cade doesn't seem to have like that much fun playing football at any point. We don't get to see, any of his fucking games, any of his fucking journey. They just cut from him being 8 years old to him entering the draft. And I feel like that stuff is necessary.
It's a very strange choice because I felt like, like you said, he's not a character more so an object. And I thought that was going to be kind of the point of the film, is that he's like a sacrificial object for Marlon Wayans. So we get the development through Marlon Wayans, but then the whole film is building up to almost like a rug pull, which would have been interesting had the film built itself out more. Like it's not a bad I think that's the weird thing about this is there's a good movie in this idea, and I get why you liked it, Stu. Like there's a lot to like about the film. There's great visuals. We haven't. Go ahead.
We should talk about the last scene at some point.
Yeah,
because the last scene is probably the best part.
Again, a big part I think why I liked it too is because I went in with like my expectations calibrated really low. And I mean, like the more I reflect on the stuff you guys are saying, the more it's like the cracks. Because I just watched it.
That's fair.
Procrastinate on watching it until just today too. I think the more I percolate on it and reflect on the things you guys are saying, the more it's like the cracks are kind of showing.
But I don't want to completely ruin your experience, because I felt that there was
no. That's just what happens when you watch a movie. Sometimes you're like, oh, that was all right. Then you kind of like you sit with it for a minute and you kind of turn it over and you start to see the flaws more.
You can imagine the good movie they could have made.
Yeah.
I will say about that. You can easily, and I don't know whether it's the director, this script does feel like it got rewritten a lot. Just kind of the vibe I got. It feels like it's jumping around so much. It's trying to do too many themes without tying them together properly. It feels like it at one point was a story about sports psychology, and then at one point was a story about, how we view the predominantly black players in football as, you made the joke about like, oh, it's like basically like a slave trade or something like that. But, that is a criticism people have of the NFL, of that it is incredibly rich white owners picking their favorite, incredibly athletic, predominantly black men. And the guys who don't get picked have, a decade's worth of violent hits on their body and violent hits to their brains with basically no reward at the end of it.
Yeah, because there's not really like retirement.
Like there's a good story in there. And I think you can do both of those things. I think you can do a story about, the drive to be great and the dream you get sold and the type of mindset you have to be the best in the world and how that mindset runs contrary to being a good person. But that's the only way that you actually get to achieve the dream that you have, right? You can easily make a good movie out of this. There's a way to get these themes to tie together in a way that makes sense, and the movie just kind of awkwardly drops them. There's obviously like attempts at criticizing a lot of the racial elements in football in the way we touched on earlier, but like the movie just rushes through them so fast. It's barely established at all.
That is, yeah, it is. It does raise the question of like what this movie looks like if whatever like 20 minutes that were cut from it are put back in. If that fleshes things out more, if some like scenes have a chance to breathe and break up the pacing, the tempo, so it flows better.
I
do get the. Oh, sorry, I was going to say before we move on, I get the sense that this movie might have had I'm trying to figure out how to put this, a kind of like sure, why not tendency where it's like every idea they had, oh, we could do this, we could do that, it'd be funny if we did this, was just kind of thrown at the wall.
Yeah.
Which
that's kind of how I felt about Marlon Wayans deep throating the gun, honestly.
Yeah.
Was the reason it bugged me is that it felt like somebody, probably Marlon Wayans, maybe somebody on set said, wouldn't it be crazy if I did this? And for that reason, I found it really boring. And there were a lot of, wouldn't it be crazy if I did this?
And as much as I appreciate big swings and like, because like so much of what we suffer from now with a lot of mainstream movies is I wouldn't say too much restraint per se, but too many like, don't be too weird.
Yeah.
Don't be too imaginative. That you sort of, it's refreshing to see a lot of big swings, but at the same time, if you really want to make a really good movie, you do have to like, pick your moments and drill down a bit.
There's supposed to be this theme of where the movie is like a meditation on violence and a meditation on what drives people to both hit each other like this and enjoy hitting each other like this. A on what drives people to like watching people hit each other like this. Because again, very, very violent sport. But it's basically just a couple of lines from Jim Jeffries, and then that's it. And then it kind of gets dropped at the end. Like, nothing about the ending of this movie, in terms of, like, the drive to be great, it starts as, like, oh, I have this primal urge to do this, and then it transforms into, like, what role does being a black person in professional sports entail? What does that say about, you know, the people paying you? And it just kind of flip-flops between them without, like, really resolving either one in a way that makes sense. It's just like somebody fired a shotgun at a target, and each individual piece of buckshot went in a different direction, and none of them actually hit the thing it was going for.
Yeah,
It's like, you know the scene in Pulp Fiction where the guy fires the revolver 6 times really hard and misses Sam Jackson?
Yeah.
That's what this movie is. It's firing the biggest gun right at the guy you could see and missing him 6 times.
I think that's because I have a suspicion that, and it's just a suspicion, you know, that there's people are pursuing a kind of David Lynch catching the big fish approach to making a film, which is not a bad thing on its own, but you have to be discerning with what you reel up and be kind of selective with what you use, so to speak. Because if you throw too many things together that are too unrefined, you do end up jumbling things up, right? Like, you know, you can't just be David Lynch by doing what David Lynch does.
And you know, speaking of trying to be other directors, like, this movie is trying so fucking hard to be Jordan Peele. Like, I know, you know, he produced it. It makes sense. It's trying to be sold as a Jordan Peele movie. Like, they're, you know, they need to have, like, the trailers for this movie should have had, like, one of those really fast talking guys who talks about the side effects for, like, blood pressure medications, where he goes, like, at the end, like, please note, this movie is not directed by Jordan Peele. It's only produced by Jordan Peele. That sort of thing. But it is, like, grasping with the tips of its fucking fingers trying to be Jordan Peele, and it just doesn't work at all. It's just not smart enough.
I didn't get that much. I mean, maybe just like stylistically, I feel like Peele's style is a lot more like not so much in the content, but like stylistically a lot more restrained than this movie is. This movie is like very, although some of that might be the editing. Was very kind of hyperbolic and almost hysterical and breathless.
Yeah, I can see that. The editing, the stuff that I found the most annoying in the editing was this movie has a couple, I touched on this earlier, this movie has a couple of montages in them, and they're all bad. They're kind of shot in a way where, like, you're not supposed to know how much the main character is hallucinating and how much of him is being drunk or on drugs or injected with things. None of them work. I like didn't get any kind of like mood from all of these, like, whoa, this guy's getting like drugged at a party and now they're doing sacrifices type of shit. Like the montage at the end, where close to the end, where Julia Fox drugs him, and then he wakes up and he sees Jim Jeffries' head, and it's like cut in with shots of the party. Complete disaster. Like, I couldn't remember like a single frame of that outside of just, oh, that's Jim Jeffries' severed head.
That is another one where you wonder, like, was that after the fact cut together that way?
Yeah. This movie does have the stink of, like, people revisited it. Like, the script was redone and recut a bunch. The film itself was chopped up a bunch. Everything about this reeks of, like, no, we need to go back and fix this. No, we need to go back and fix this. And you come back and do that so many times that it just ends up, like, looking like that image where you can't tell where anything is.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking off. You know, I do get what you mean. I think maybe part of the reason we're different on this is that, like, I don't watch bad movies, honestly. I don't watch a ton of movies in general, and when I do watch something, I want to make sure it's something that, like, all my friends like and is critically acclaimed. I imagine if you guys have a podcast where you talk about bad movies, that you're much better calibrated to talking about this sort of thing, because I understand, like, you know, if you're reviewing, like, 3 times microwaved fucking, like, MCU Feastables or whatever, that a bad movie that is still willing to take the swings this movie does, is going to end up resonating with you a lot more than, like, I don't know, Spiral Man Chronicles or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. And also, like, I'm more forgiving of, as I've gotten older, I've become more forgiving of movies not really making sense.
Congratulations on turning 200.
As long as they're sort of expressive or interesting in some way, comparatively.
Yeah, no, I've gotten a lot more okay with when the train kind of comes at you. Like, I remember not liking it in theaters when I saw it for the first time when it debuted.
But
no, it took me a while to stop flinching.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they made the train come at you every time Caleb or whatever the fuck his name was missed a pass. They made you sit really close to when the train comes in the station.
Yeah. Before I do wanna as kind of like a way to as we move through our progressions. I've talked a lot about what I didn't like about this movie, and that's a lot of it. The final 10 minutes are fucking awesome.
Before we talk about I want to talk about the only character who I thought mostly worked for me, which was Julia Fox's. Even though she feels like she's from the wrong movie, because she feels like more of a basketball wife to me. I loved Julia Fox in this.
Julia Fox was really good in this. I enjoyed Julia Fox quite a bit. I think she does a really good job kind of playing, like, selling the fantasy of what being rich and famous is to, like, a really young guy who's really athletic and talented, because she seems very in control. You know, the way that she sells this fantasy that I really like is that, you know, Cameron Cade is being introduced towards the end. He's being introduced to, like, the owner of the team and the people who run it. And she just does, like, a good job of, like appearing almost like maternal in a way. Actually, that's, you know, intentional. Like, they bring up, the movie brings up the fact, like a background character says, like, oh, you kind of look like the child of Julia Fox and Marlon Wayans. You know, she's supposed to be this kind of like I'm gonna be like your mom of being famous. I'm gonna tell you who's annoying. I'm gonna be in control. I'll be able to bail you out of a bad situation, and I'll be able to handle this, you know, exhaustive new world for you. She's like, you know what it is? It's the evil version of Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side. Obviously, if you know anything about the real story of that, that's just Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side.
Yeah.
But I really like that, as her character sells like a fake fantasy version of, don't worry, I'll take care of you. You can just play football and I'll take care of you. And it works almost in like a seductive way of, like, you don't have to worry about the new parts of this life that scare you, because Julia Fox's fake mom of being famous is here to handle it for you. Don't worry. She's got it all under control. This guy's the owner. You can talk to him. His son is annoying, but don't worry. You just got to deal with him. That sort of thing.
That's a really good take on her character. I wish that she had more time to explore the sinister edge to her. But she was, I think, my favorite part of the final scene, which I know you really want to talk about. So,
yeah,
Stu,
the final scene in this movie is fucking great.
Did you have any final thoughts on Julia Fox before we kind of jump to the end here?
I do. Just, there's a scene there where she's sitting with it's Cameron, right? Suddenly I just blanked.
Yeah. I have to stop my brain from saying Kate Cunningham every single time.
I keep wanting to say Caleb Williams, but that's the guy from your now legendary Caleb Williams rant that is.
Yeah, no, I've got buddies who say that I actually pushed the team to being good with that. Like, I needed to become a lunatic before they actually became good.
I've seen people I know in real life like talk about that video, and I'm like, yeah, that's a really funny video. I wonder who made it.
I do honestly. Like, hypothetically speaking, I would hypothetically feel bad. I am worried that if I say the S word in regards to that video, it will jinx the team, and so I'm not going to do it. Like, sincerely.
Okay.
I can't APOLO, you know.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It will jinx the team. Like, Darnell Wright will be sucked into a jet engine. I'm not going to do it.
They need that. They don't need that. I
genuinely, honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe that if I jizz,
very classic sports fan superstition.
I'm a very superstitious guy when it comes to this sort of thing.
My mom could get that way. Growing up, we were my mom and my big sister were huge Vancouver Canucks fans, hockey fans, and it was a lot of that. Like, if I'd walk into the room and they'd score, I'd be like, "Okay, Ty, don't leave. Sit down, and watch the rest of the game." Mm-hmm. And then they'd like take a penalty, be like, "Okay, go to your room."
Yeah.
And then they would shoot footballs in your face, or they shoot hockey pucks in your face.
They would shoot hockey pucks into his face,
which would be infinitely worse.
They'd shove him out onto like a frozen lake and tell him to get back by himself.
Oh, there's a scene where Julia Fox is sitting there with him, and there's this like one moment where she's like, "Look, if your heart's not in this, don't do it." And there's this like briefest flash on her face when he says he's committed, of something that to me felt like a little bit of sympathy. Like some part of her wanted him to liked him enough to just wanted him to just step away from this whole process.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like a nice little acting moment that suggested like a deeper layer of character there than was strictly in the text. I think the cast is mostly
Tim Heidecker's fun,
good, or at least as good as the material. Right?
Yeah. A lot of the issues I have is like I totally believe Marlon Wayans can be better at this, but he's using what the script gives him, and that's not very much. I believe Jim Jeffries can be funnier than this, but he's using what the script gives him, and that's not very much. Tim Heidecker is genuinely pretty good. He's one of the only guys who kind of takes it to the next level. Him and Julia Fox, definitely the best parts of this movie.
Jim Jeffries normally annoys me, and in this, he didn't annoy me. So
yeah, because he left no impact whatsoever. He's nothing. He's nothing in this movie.
I don't know, I feel like there's a little pathos there, a little sense of like I do feel like one of the themes running through the movie that is somewhat legible is like the extent to which you lose your humanity in pursuit of wealth or climbing the ladder in whatever arena it is you do it, right? That you sort of leave behind.
Yeah, I get that. This might be a I know too much about football style complaint. There are definitely positions in football where you get to see your family less. Head coach, specifically, very, very famous for, you don't get to spend as much time with your family as you'd like. You don't have a lot of time for them. It's really frustrating. I think there was a quote about how, like, the head coach of the Seahawks who just won the Super Bowl gets to spend, like, half an hour a day with his kids or something like that.
Jesus.
Because he's working so fucking hard. That's not a thing for a team doctor. Team doctors usually, like, they stay past head coaching firings. They just work for the team as doctors, and you get to go home and see your kids. Like, you know when somebody is at risk for getting hurt. It's not like being a doctor for a football team is, like, less stressful than, like, working in, like, a fucking ICU by, like, leaps and bounds.
I was gonna say,
like, the whole thing was like, I wouldn't get to see my kids if I had any kids. Like, that's not a fucking thing for being a football doctor. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Also, if we're doing the Tom Brady analog thing, and he's supposed to be Tom Brady's, like, psycho trainer, Alex Guerrero, basically everything I've heard about Tom Brady's actual real-life trainer is that he is, like, a crazy person who prescribes shit that does not work all the time except for Tom Brady. And he gets a lot of, clout because Tom Brady played till he was, like, 60. And the guy who was behind making that happen must be a genius. But nothing about what Alex Guerrero does has worked for, like, any other football player who's tried it. And Brady tries to force it on people all the time.
I would assume it's just Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and he's doing crank shit that doesn't work at all, but because he was doing it near Tom Brady, it made it look like it worked.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is that just Tom Brady started, because he is a psycho, he started taking care of his body before other NFL players did. He's not a cheat day guy. He's not going to be like, a lot of these guys are like the 25, 26-year-old guys. They, if they're not playing, they want to go out and drink with their buddies and have fun. Tom Brady is not like that. He is a psycho about his diet from the age of 25, 26. And because he started taking care of it earlier, he was able to last longer. Again, which just, ties back to the whole point that frustrated me, which is that nothing about what Marlon Wayans does is the sort of thing that the best in the world does.
Yeah, that kind
like,
of...
you do need to sacrifice, but you don't need only sacrifice. And I don't believe that what Marlon Wayans is doing, like, leads... You know, it's like a fucking... Like, J.K. Simmons just didn't talk about jazz at all in Whiplash. Like, all he did was throw things. That's the vibe you get from Marlon Wayans' character in this movie.
No, you're right. Like that, the more I think about that, the more I'm like, that's a huge problem with the movie. Is it's like he should be Psycho, where it's like he's counting the divots in the football or something.
Yeah, exactly. All of the Psycho shit Marlon Wayans does is like something either the director or Marlon Wayans or the writer thought, wouldn't it be crazy if a guy did this?
It's like a different kind of Psycho. Here's the thing, though. Actually, that's just something I often wonder with movies like this. Anytime you get a movie, at least a movie made by people that are largely have been in the industry or in Hollywood for a while, that is ostensibly about something else, like, you know, like Tar and classical music or what have you, showgirls and dancing in Vegas, it's like, is this actually just a metaphor for the film industry?
Yeah.
Consciously or not, are they actually all, like, whether or not they realize it, reflecting their anxieties and experiences with this other hierarchy and system of attaining wealth and status and climbing a ladder. Yeah,
there was also like a deliberate point in this where, like, you know, the big scene where this is probably like the one of the biggest issues where I'm like, no actual best quarterback does this. There's a scene in the movie where I'm just going to start calling Kate Cunningham. Kate Cunningham is throwing passes to random wide receivers, and every time one doesn't get complete, a jugs machine, which is something that like shoots out footballs, something you use for catching practice, basically. It's a machine that shoots footballs at you and you catch it. So he shoots a football out of a jugs machine into a different guy's face, and every time a pass doesn't get caught, a football hits the guy in the face. And Marlon Wayans fires the machine even if the pass is accurate, but the receiver drops it. And like that's not like bad or lazy editing. Like, they call it out. Like, the quarterback who's throwing the passes, Cameron Cade, goes like, "Hey, what the fuck? That was accurate. The guy just dropped it. Like, get me receivers who can fucking catch." And how is this supposed to fucking help him? Like, I don't. There's no fucking process behind this.
No, I think there is, like, it does, like whether or not it's it works is a different question. But I think the point is, like, you're supposed to not care about anybody else. You're supposed to just bury everybody else behind you as you go, right? But
he wasn't messing up even before he was burying people. The receivers were dropping his balls.
No, I think the point is that it doesn't actually matter whether or not he throws the pass. The point is, you're going to do what you're going to do, and you're going to let whatever has to happen to anybody else happen to get there. Like, it's the point is just to step over this, to teach you to step over this guy's body.
I guess, but like, he only got hit in the face after the first pass got dropped, which implies that it's a punishment of some kind, right?
Yeah, but like, I think the logic is more supposed to be about that than it is about...
Well, then that should be the fucking point. That should be the point of the scene. Then have it be like a timed drill where you have to complete as many passes as possible, and the guy gets hit in the face regardless of whether... This actually kind of confused me, because I felt like that was happening later in the scene, where the guy just got hit in the head regardless of what happened. But at the beginning of the scene, he doesn't start getting hit until a pass hits the ground. And like, the reason we're having this debate is because the fucking shooting of this is so muddled that we don't know whether it's supposed to be like a punishment because a pass was incomplete, or whether the message of this is like, you just need to ignore that this is happening and keep doing you.
Yeah, no, I'd agree that there's a bit of a lack of clarity there. But that at least that's how I was. Again, like, I was having a decent enough time. I was inclined to read what I was seeing charitably. Like, I think this movie is like, it's one of the movies that's like shot to shot, often fairly nicely shot. But you're right that in terms of like staging and action, things get muddled. Yeah. Which is, I think, a common feature of a lot of movies, where it's like you can compose individually nice shots, but not shots that fit together. Yeah, the directing, as a flow.
The directing in this, outside of the final scene, I think is overall just bad. Like, it's not. I don't know whether it's supposed to be scary. It's really not scary. Like, at any point, there are no good scares in this.
I didn't think it was supposed to be scary. Like I said, I thought it was supposed to be kind of a grand guignol, like I said, not a comedy exactly, but like a hyperbolic kind of exercise in camp, but that I sometimes will. It's one of those things. It's like it can be hard to read. Where it's like, is this aiming? Is this doing what it's trying to do, and it's just doing something weird, or is this totally missing the mark to such a degree that I'm assuming it must be intentional?
Yeah,
I see what both of you are saying here.
It's too boring to be fucking campy, though. That's my fucking issue.
It's such a misstep where it's like it's not bombastic enough to go full camp, but it's not like if everyone was like Marlon Wayans, then there would be something there.
I didn't think Marlon Wayans was. He wasn't. He's not the worst performance in the movie.
He's not the worst,
but he didn't. I liked him in the first scene, and that was kind of it.
That's fair.
I like in the sauna when he sits there and there's like a moment where he's like he kind of feels like a real guy and he's like, don't become me.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought like the idea, it seemed to me, was like there was like a real guy under there that's just been buried under the layers of the like success, win, hustle, grind, set 110% bullshit.
That was the one moment in the scene where like, yeah, like I'm thinking about his character when he says like, don't try to become me, try to become better than me. That is genuinely the mindset of like a top of the fucking world football caliber psycho of like don't just like, I want to see how far you can push this. And if you're better than me, then so be it. Because, like, the best quarterbacks in the world get excited when they see the best young quarterbacks in the world. Like, Tom Brady fucking gushes about Caleb Williams.
Interesting. So there isn't a lot of that, like, insecurity, like someone's going to eclipse me.
Sometimes, again, it varies person to person. But for the guys who have spent so much time perfecting every detail of the game, it's so rare to see somebody else who can do that when you do see it, you get insanely excited.
That makes sense.
Like it isn't even like a concern about your own legacy. It's just, I have dedicated so much of my life to loving this that I'm so happy to see somebody else love it and care about it like I do. That's, you know what, I think that's the main distillation of my complaints about both Marlon Wayans and, both Isaiah White and Cameron Cade. I don't believe that either of these two people love playing football. Straight up. I don't. I think, I get that Cameron Cade is doing it to, keep a promise to his dead dad, and I get that Isaiah White just loves the attention. I don't believe that either of these characters love the game that the entire movie is built around them perfecting.
So you think like part of what the movie needs is that love of the game is what makes people into these guys, and without that, you can't really characterize that type of guy in an interesting way.
Because the love of the game is what keeps you obsessing over those details. Like, it's not just to be the best at something, it's to be the best at this because you love doing it.
So you think the guys that are like mainly motivated by wealth or fame are not gonna reach that level from that?
You don't even touch the league if you don't love it.
That makes sense. So I believe that.
Like, if you don't love playing football, even if you're the most talented guy in the world, and there are stories about this, fucking like Jamarcus Russell, one of the most famous NFL busts of all time, did not love it, and so he didn't work hard at it, and so he flamed out of the league fucking immediately because he didn't want to push himself like that. Like, you don't get to where these characters are supposed to be without, like, in order to have the work ethic necessary to be this good at playing football, you have to love playing football, because that's what keeps you going as you obsess over every detail, as you take every late night you can to study what you can fix, to fix everything that could possibly be an error, to keep experimenting when it feels like you've hit a brick wall. What pushes you forward to keep doing that is that you fucking love playing the game. You love everything about it. And I don't believe that either of these characters love football, because I don't think that the directors or writers of this movie love football.
I would say I think that from their perspective, I don't know if they really realize anyone actually loves football that much. Like the movie seems to posit that it's like this.
It's a means to
animus comes from or it comes from like indoctrination. It comes from having a psycho sports dad or a some complex.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair, and that's wrong. And you can still make a story about how the NFL and the league is pernicious, and it preys on people, and it's dangerous, and it can ruin people's lives without pretending that the people who play it don't actually like it. That's the main thing for me. If I had to boil it
That's
down.
a really good point. Yeah.
No, that's a great critique. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, you can make this story and still have the people love what they're doing. You know, I keep going back to Whiplash because that's.
Did you watch
what the
Whiplash
better version
recently?
is. No, I didn't. It's just what this reminded me the most.
I was also thinking of Whiplash a little bit watching this.
I haven't seen it.
Which is funny because I think Damien Chazelle's Babylon was like, I think like we kind of felt about that movie the way you feel about this movie because its own kind of failure to really understand the things it was doing and talking about in terms of like old Hollywood and stuff.
Yeah. God, just there's a good movie in there, man. It really is. It really is frustrating because there's a good movie in there. I just fucking missed the mark. I
agree. I think you've kind of like definitely you've changed like my perspective on the movie quite a bit. I think, but I do like back to something you said earlier. I think when you watch a lot of bad movies, I don't mean like MCU boring slot bad.
Yeah. Sorry. What I was going to say real quick is that I believe that J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller's characters love jazz. Like they are obsessed with jazz. They love playing jazz. And we see scenes of these guys playing football and like football. We never get the same sense that they love it like the people in Whiplash do.
No, not at all. I agree. I was going to say like, when you watch a lot of like bad movies, not like MCU bad, pumped out of an assembly line, but like movies that are made by people who are trying really hard to make something good or have some kind of vision or crazy idea or ambition and then just fail. If you watch a lot of movies like that and you kind of have a certain love of film and knowledge about how it's made, you do start to approach unsuccessful movies kind of differently.
Yeah, I can see that.
And develop more, I guess, generosity or sentimentality towards them.
I get it.
But no, I think you have like a really compelling critique of the movie, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And understanding what you're saying, like I agree, like it does fail its subject matter, pretty substantially.
Yeah, it's just a fundamental misunderstanding. You can't critique the NFL properly if you don't understand the way its actual exploitation works.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, because it doesn't understand what drives people to obsess over football, it can't properly criticize the way that rich owners and commissioners exploit that obsession.
I think that's reflected in other industries and things, like obviously sports in general, but like entertainment and art, there's a lot of that too, where it's like because people have this passion to do this thing, they will do it even under like extremely terrible conditions. Because like, well, you love it and you have to do it.
There's this movie, and I don't think either of you have mentioned it before, but it's called Whiplash with J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller in it, and it kind of goes into that where, like it's like, is the abuse worth it? Yeah,
but I mean that isn't a movie where it's like there's like a jazz industry that is exploiting the guy's love of jazz to drive him to do that.
It's one guy is the industry.
Yeah, like if you make this movie and it's basically the same, but it's about, I don't know, fucking competitive League of Legends, does that much change?
Not really. It would maybe be a better movie though, just because I think it would maybe get to the point better.
Did you ever see that League of Legends mockumentary series by the guys who made American Vandal? That was fun.
No, I haven't.
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh no, it's called Players. Just like awful esports egos like bumping into each other. It's pretty funny. I liked it a lot. Anyway, we've been teasing this for long. We should talk about the final scene of the movie, which is probably the best part. This is kind of the point where it just decides to go like full bonanza fucking camp nonsense bullshit, and it's really fun to watch. You get like all of like, you know, the team owner and fucking Julia Fox and Tim Heidecker's like slimy agent guy all like gathered in this like football arena with pig masks on, and there's like this warhammer and a pentagram in the middle, and they basically tell him like you have to sign your soul away to us so you get the dream of playing quarterback. It's really on the nose. It's not subtle. It's not particularly clever, but it is really fun to watch. Just like Cameron Cage just bulldoze these people with a bunch of medieval weapons. Just a really, really nice time. I love the way the colors in this scene just pop out at you. After so long being spent in like these kind of like damp brown saunas and like concrete prison-like enclosures, seeing all of this color pop at you is so nice.
The whole I don't know if you were ever watched the Jesus is King IMAX special before Kanye went fully insane, but the whole thing looked like that. It looked like it was.
I was gonna say it. Well, I was gonna say like his house kind of looks like Kanye and Kim Kardashian's house, like that kind of like opulent but like austere and really
the whole thing
inhuman.
The whole thing looks like, I don't remember what that location was called, but that house that they had in like, I think it was like Utah or something.
Yeah, the exterior is actually a spaceport in New Mexico. Actually, a lot of it was shot around Albuquerque.
Huh? I didn't notice. Never been.
Yeah, no, I appreciate like you can be blunt if you can be blunt as a sledgehammer if you land the sledgehammer blow really hard.
And they quite literally land the sledgehammer blow in that ending.
Oh yeah,
I would bump this movie up like almost like a full star just because like the last 10 minutes were so fun to look at. There's one really small detail I liked right at the end where after he kills all of them, he like walks up to one of the fucking like I don't know, cheerleaders or like one of like the guys in a mascot costume, and he kind of like fake pumps him.
Yeah.
You know, like cocks back
and
a
he
little
flinches,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, and the guy like flinches back away from him. That's kind of like a nice like a little character touch. It's like one of the only times in the movie where Cameron Cage kind of feels like a person.
Yeah, I wish the whole movie was like this. Obviously, that's an incredible understatement and kind of sums up what we've been saying for the last hour and 10 minutes, but
yeah, it felt like a movie that wanted to show a little bit of restraint before it went crazy, and I kind of just wish, like, if you're gonna swing for the fences all the fuck.
I agree.
Like, just blow everything the fuck up.
They should have been sacrificing babies 15 minutes in. Like,
100%.
It should have been insane.
Like the bit where he like decides not to cut Tim Heidecker's head off, and then Tim Heidecker gets dragged by a supernatural force to the pentagram and gets his entire body exploded. I was fucking howling. That was awesome. That was a great fucking idea. I wanted more of that.
It's one of those things though where it's like if you start there, then you've kind of got nowhere left to go.
That's true, but also I don't think this movie had anywhere to go either way.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. But I mean, I can see why
you're about fucking ridiculous. Just go ridiculous all the way. You know?
I can see why though. You kind of like you have the strong urge to hold it in reserve and at least try and create a build up.
Yeah, but that would require them building to anything properly, which they didn't do.
Yeah, no, but I think that's where the impulse comes from to not be that big the whole way through.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know. You have any closing thoughts on him? You do get to see Tim Heidecker say Timothy Chalamet.
That was funny.
If that's
yeah.
No, Ghost, you go.
No, I was gonna say I think I can't think of anything else. I think we about covered it.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked about it a lot. And I think what didn't work for this movie has been made pretty clear to me by talking about it.
I do think, even though I've cooled quite a bit on reflection and discussion personally, I do think, especially among people who maybe don't know enough about football to have those criticisms.
Yeah.
I do have a suspicion this film will probably find a cult audience over time.
Yeah, particularly because anything where something big and powerful like the NFL doesn't like something, it tends to get a little bit of a boost from that because it's like, ooh, like why are they banning Fahrenheit 451 from the library or something like that?
Yeah.
That kind of vibe in general to it. Like, oh, they're telling the secret truth about concussions. They're telling the secret truth about the NFL. You're going to see like AI TikTok edits where it's like, are they trying to secretly tell us what is happening in the NFL? With like really bad voiceover.
The quarterback, the quarterback attempted to lock the prospect in the hot tub, and
the
hot tub was very hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Joe Rogan's voice or something like that. In the ice bath, a crazy girl comes and throws herself at the prospect. However, he tackles her and he pins her to the sauna and then chokes her. And then Marlon Wayans comes in and throws her head to the back with a devastating force. Her brain comes out and she is dead. All right, that's I think are we all
so typically what we do at the end is we do a watch something else. I have a feeling I know what your recommendation is going to be for watch something else.
It's pretty obvious. It's just fucking watch Whiplash again. Just watch Whiplash.
Watch Whiplash.
It's fine.
Studi.
It's a good time. I know there are people who don't like it. I tend to like it a lot. Even if you are like looking at it purely as like, I just want something fun to throw on in the background, J.K. Simmons just does a so much better job as a psycho mentor than Marlon Wayans does. Miles Teller's orders of magnitude better than the incredibly, unbelievably boring lead actor in this movie. Oh my god. I
don't even remember
I understand
his name.
why he's played that way. I don't know either. I know he's supposed to be a blank slate that people project on, and that's why the performance is really understated. But I don't get any sense of character from him whatsoever. Yeah, if you're going to watch something else, watch Whiplash.
Stu, what's your pick?
Oh, I don't... It's another one of those where I don't have a good one. Because I feel like I've already recommended most of the salient out of horror or sort of surreal movies, and I don't really have a lot of sports movies in my back pocket. I watched a few weeks ago, I watched Senna, the documentary about the F1 driver. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, that does sound really interesting.
I will say, if you are genuinely interested in hearing, I kind of made fun of him earlier. If you are genuinely interested to learn about the stories of sports players, and in particular, at least in my experience, what I like is NFL players, and you just have no experience with sports whatsoever, John Boy's History of the Atlanta Falcons is a really fun watch. I think it's really good. I think History of the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of my friends who are Vikings fans don't like that series as much. Kind of thought it was rushed. I enjoyed it quite a bit personally. If you need a good entry point in terms of how do I identify the people on my screen as people, how do I understand their stories, and so I don't just see them as like video game avatars who do XYZ. How do I not just see them as chess pieces? I think that is a good place to start. If you've somehow never seen that before, I do really like History of the Atlanta Falcons. So if you're more interested in just learning more about football, throw that on. And if you want a story about an abusive psycho mentor killing his student, watch Whiplash.
Cool. My pick, I'm going to go a little more horror. I feel like Nicole, if she was here, would also pick this film. And that is Brian Yuzna's Society, which is a film about, very similar to this. It's about evil rich people that are actually demonic, and the weird evil shit that they do. In this case, it's a high society.
We did an episode on it.
No, you didn't.
We did a Patreon on it before you joined the show.
This show didn't exist before me. But you're right. They did do an episode on this before I joined the show. And so go check that out as well. A lot of great creature feature effects. Similar to this, it is just, it does feature a last act of people just going crazy with the gore effects, which is the highlight of the film. And yeah, I think that'll do us on him. Anything to plug, Gus?
Check out my podcast, Most Controversial. We spend an hour twice a week going over just the most disgusting, awful things on subreddits we can find. Charlie is the guy who picks the post for that, but if you want to hear me talk about people posting about their sexual fetishes for eating shit, or posting some of the worst writing you've ever seen in your life, by all means, check that out. I'm sure the other guys will throw a link in their description.
Yes, there will be a link. I've had a lot of fun doing that show. I co-sign them. They're a great podcast.
Same. I enjoy Most Controversial a lot.
Thank you.
Coming next week to Marvelous, we have our Patreon raffle. But first, I'm going to quickly shout out everyone who joined in the last month. We got ourselves 5 names here. Bromunculus, Joe, the Cook, Marlon Moala Knox, and last but not least, a podcast that we're going to be doing some work with in the future. That is the Remember Shuffle podcast. So go check them out.
Shout out to them. I really enjoy their show.
Yes, Stu very enjoys their show. I've been also doing a dive in. I can also say highly recommend their stuff. Very funny bunch over there, and insightful too. And so we're currently working on getting a little crossover up and running. But now I'm going to do a live drawing of the Patreon raffle because the last guy didn't get back to us. And that is folk by the name of Joe. J.O., you were number 264 out of 300 and something, 349. I will be reaching out to you via email. And also trying to figure out your Discord. My CSV is all fucked up, so I don't know if the Discord is supposed to generate in a separate field or not. But I'll get with Stu after the recording to fix all of that. Thank you all for being fans of the show, and thank you, Gus, for coming on.
Thank you all so much for supporting the show. We love you. It means the world. We will see you again next week with our Patreon raffle pick. If Joe is kind enough to get back to us. Or we might have to pull a third time and you could be the winner.
Third time. Fuck it. Who cares? At this point, we will literally just be pulling every day now. You guys get 24 hours. Maybe 48 if we're feeling nice. And that'll do us. Adios.
Bye.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.